Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer, food maker, or artisan selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast.
I'm Kat Fields-White.
And I'm Bridget Myers. We're longtime farmers market managers, educators, and consultants. Get ready to catch up on all things farmers market pros with us. Today, we're chatting with Julie Stoner of Stoner Family Farms in Valparaiso, Indiana, about how market farmers can succeed and thrive in any climate.
Not literal climate. All of us are dealing with that right now, but
Sales
business
climate.
the market climate.
Any kind of climate.
Today's episode of Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is supported by Grapevine Local Food Marketing, specializing in marketing for farmers and markets. With Grapevine on your team, you don't need to learn HTML, CSS, SEO, or the rest of the online marketing alphabet to achieve ROI. They've got you covered. And since they specialize in farm marketing, they're also fluent in our language. To schedule an initial consultation, click the Grapevine Local Food Marketing logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com to get started today.
All right, welcome back to Tent Talk, everybody. Today we are talking with market farmer, entrepreneur, and farmers market mentor Julie Stoner of Stoner Family Farms in Northwest Indiana about how she's diversified her income streams and her tips for helping small farmers profit at farmers markets. Welcome to Tent Talk, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I have been listening to you ladies for years. You have inspired me and sparked some ideas in me, and I just feel honored that it's my turn to be here and hopefully do that for some other listeners.
Oh, we love that. We love to hear that, especially when we have guests on that have listened for a long time and taken what we do and kind of made it your own and doing the mentorship things that you do. It's just really great to hear that you've been listening to Tent Talk and doing this on your side of the country as well. So we're excited to talk to you. We'll start with a little background info. So if you just want to tell us kind of your career experience, education, and how you got into farming.
I actually married into farming. I didn't have anything to do with it. Growing up, we lived, in a subdivision and went to a small school. And it was my husband that introduced me to all things farming. He left the farm and got a full-time job. And we moved out of the state for a while and moved back home. And he just got more and more involved. Although he still does have his full-time job off the farm, but that just brought me and my girls on board and just learning little by little as we go. And it's been great. We're loving it.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are having a really great time. You want to tell us about Stoner Family Farms. So what do you guys grow and raise and what kind of products are you selling?
Our big item, the big thing that we do here is sheep. We have maybe 200-300 head of sheep. And ideally, that would be for the show quality, 4-H or jackpot shows. But in all things, there are some that aren't quite that top quality. And that's what started our meat business. So my big ticket item, what started this all was my frozen lamb meat. And as the years, and I know that's going to come up a little later in the conversation, as the years went on and time became a little more available, I added other products to our farm and to our market business.
Awesome. So how many markets are you at right now?
Right now in Indiana, all of the outdoor markets closed down. So now I'm just at one a week on Sundays. April through October, I'll be at 3 to 4 a week.
Awesome.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. That's a lot of weekly farmers markets for sure. When you started out doing markets, did you start with one in particular or did you kind of go and try to see how many markets you could get into at first? How did that work when you were first getting into your markets?
I started with our market right here in my town, and it's a 2-day market. It's a Tuesday, Saturday, and I started with that. Now, you have the option to just do Tuesdays or just do Saturdays or both, which is what I did. So when I started out, I started as 2 a week.
Nice.
And then expanded to 4. So that's a lot. And are you still in that same original market?
I am. Yes, absolutely. That is where my customers are. That's what I know and love. That's where I started. I'm absolutely still there, and I'm sure I will be for a long time.
Awesome. It sounds like you're really busy and you are really focused on your market presence. Like, what do you look for when you are looking for a market to join? Or what kind of signals a successful market for you, for your business to be in?
it's the day of the week, honestly. And that's not some profound answer, but that's just what it is. Weekday markets are difficult for me and my schedule. I homeschool my three girls as well. So although we do a Tuesday market, I couldn't do very many during the week, during school hours. I do a Wednesday market, but that's in the evening from 3 to 7.
Mhm.
So if it's during the day, during the school year, it's not going to work for me with schooling the girls.
Yeah, I think that's important to remember. I think some folks try to look for just like the biggest, busiest markets, but they're not on days that work very well for them personally with their family schedule or with their farming schedule, the way that they need to work on the farm. And so they kind of force it at first. And I just feel like that doesn't always work. And so it's better to look at like what schedule can you actually commit to, because longevity at a certain market is more important, being there consistently. That's how you build your customer base. So it sounds like you have a good grasp of that for sure.
Yeah, we talk to people that are looking at our big weekend market, for instance, and oftentimes we'll tell them, hey, you know what, there's a pretty big weekend market near you, give or take, 1,000 shoppers or so. If you don't have to spend the extra hour and a half driving down from North County to downtown and then an extra hour and a half driving back, all things considered, you may be ahead to do the market that's closest to your home.
Exactly.
Fuel costs, time, that all adds up.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, and then selling to your neighbors. I mean, that's the whole thing is the people you're selling to are the people really local to you, then you're forming relationships with people that might pick up at a farm stand if you have one, or, go to other events that you're doing right near them, or invite you to events that are going on for their school or their church or something like that. So forming those hyper-local relationships, I think, is really a predictor of success. Are markets and events in your area, Julie, open to new vendors, or is it a trick to get space if you want to join a new market?
I would say they're open for new vendors. Most of the markets in our area have openings. We have the space. We have several nice venues where it's like the covered pavilion with the new restrooms right there, maybe a splash pad attached. Several of those have been popping up in our area. And we have a lot of towns, on top of each other here, and each town has their own farmers market. In general, I would say yes, most markets are looking for vendors. They want vendors, and they're willing to look at applications.
So I know that we hear from vendors and from market managers and such in some areas, especially areas that have a lot of meat suppliers, a lot of meat farmers that are raising livestock. That's not the case actually in our markets because of just the cost of land and things in San Diego. We don't have a lot of folks raising meat here. But in areas where they do, we'll hear a lot of times, oh, well, that market already has a lamb vendor. They won't let another one in. Do you run into that kind of thing?
Yes, but one thing that is fantastic about doing lamb is it's unique. There are not a lot of people that are raising sheep, or if they are, it's very small numbers. So maybe they have beef and a little bit of lamb, and so they might only have lamb for a portion of the market season. So usually when I submit an application, I am the only person with lamb, and it's different. Even if there is another meat vendor there, the market is still looking for lamb.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And we actually always encourage people to have multiple vendors in a category because customers like choice. So, that brings on more customers. But I know that in a lot of markets, they're a little bit more exclusive to category things. So we're going to ask you if you have any tips for submitting a winning application. I'm going to guess that your first tip is raise sheep. But do you have any other tips for getting into whatever market you want to get into?
Yeah. A tip that I would have would just be to have those unique items. Now, farmers markets thrive on the classics, vegetables and eggs and cut flowers. And I am a big supporter of those items as well. But if you can present your product in a unique way, or maybe a little bit different way, it's going to hopefully set you apart. Maybe, for example, I bring baked goods to my markets, but I only do gluten-free, or I only use products from our farm. So let's say rhubarb is in season on my farm. I will bring a gluten-free rhubarb crisp. And that kind of sets me apart from other bakers. Not only am I gluten-free, but the main item of that baked good is from our farm.
Yeah, hugely attractive to farmers market managers. We're always looking for, if you're not a farmer per se, are you using your next door farmer's produce in your pies or in your muffins or what have you. So yeah, that hyper-local ingredients is something that always wins the day with farmers market applications. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of things. You're obviously growing vegetables or fruits along with raising the sheep. I think you have some other products that you can share with us. Do you have help on the farm or at markets or both, or in producing your products, your baked goods, et cetera? Is it all you?
I'll start with the farm. The farm we absolutely have help. My father-in-law, my husband, we have one hired hand. Definitely we have help there. As far as the farmers market business, it is my baby. It's my job. Although the idea started from my husband and he really pushed and encouraged that, I kind of was dragging my feet at first. But 10 years later, it is my baby, my business. I make all the products by myself. We do not butcher our lambs. That has to be outsourced per state laws. But the baked goods, we have honeybees and I sell honey. We have milk goats. So I milk the goat and make the soap on my own. At farmers markets, my only employee, my only help is my 3 girls. We do not have any hired employees at the markets, but they are there with me and they work the markets and they're great help.
How old are your girls?
13, 11, and 7.
Perfect ages to be a market staff, I believe.
Oh, you would believe that. Just get in the kitchen, do the dishes, work at the market. It's fine.
Bridget worked in our restaurant when she was started about 7 or 8. So yeah, and I think you raise really responsible children that anybody would want to employ when you raise them in a retail environment.
That is true. Thank you for that compliment. But it's good, reliable help. I love seeing, we have vendors that bring their kids. We usually don't, encourage folks to bring their kids to just hang out in the booth with them while they're working. But those kids that are actually doing the selling and helping set up and break down at the market, that's such a valuable experience for them to have. And just really does teach them a lot of stuff you can't ever learn in any classroom, or home classroom. When you get out there to the farmers market, that's such a great experience for them. Sounds like you have good help.
I think it's good for sales too.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't want to buy soap or honey or what have you from a sweet 9-year-old or 7-year-old, right?
That's right.
It also gives such a personal feel to our family. Mm-hmm. When the customers do see me with my 3 girls up there and my girls can explain what the sheep are fed or how they personally take care of the chickens. It just really, it's connecting that farmer relationship with the customer. And that has been, it's been super. It's been good for them. It's been good for business. And it's great for the customer to see that too.
Absolutely. Definitely remove some of the doubt about when you go up, you see people at a market that go up and ask the farmer, so are you really growing this? Are you really making this? And when you get your kids there, you get your family in the booth with you, I think that authenticates that in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kids tell the truth.
What products did you start with at markets? And then how did you add things? And when do you decide to add another product line?
My first year, we started just with lamb. I had just the frozen lamb for the first 2 seasons, actually. And then as the girls got a little bit older, or maybe I had more time or just figured out, the lamb side of the business a little bit, I was able to add other products. One thing that really pushed me towards that was because lamb is a unique protein. A lot of people think they don't like it or maybe tried it once and didn't like it. And so they might walk by my booth and be like, oh, I don't like lamb, and just keep walking. Or I might have customers that, came up and said, oh, I just bought from you on Tuesday. I won't need to buy again for a while. And that just got me thinking, how can I keep them coming back? If they truly don't need lamb or they don't like it, how can I reach them? And that started just naturally, organically with, I would love to add honeybees to our farm. What a great thing for our farm, for our produce. And then, that introduced the honey. And the same thing with the goat's milk. We already had goats on the farm to feed the baby lambs if needed. And I had some extra goat's milk. And I just tried soap. At first, it started just by giving it to my mom or family, friends. People loved it. And so I started just making more and more and selling it.
So smart. Does that help you too to weather seasons or when a certain product's not so popular, or maybe Christmas time people are putting more of their budget into gifts and not into meat and things for the home? Does it help even out sales for you?
Absolutely. Oh yes, there are some markets where, my lamb has absolutely been the star of the show that day, and maybe the very next market, the same market location, it's just a different day. Maybe my goat's milk soap is what really, made me reach those sales goals and really made my day feel like, oh, that was a good day.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you sell some other places too besides markets, right? Other types of events and things.
Yeah, I do a couple artisan shows a year, very similar to farmers markets in the sense of, setting up and selling and meeting to the people, but different in that I can't take my lamb to artisan markets because that can only be sold at a farmer's market. I have a lot of direct sales now that I have been doing this 10 years. A lot of people just want to call me, order, and pick it up. So we do a lot of that, which is convenient, but 10 years still at markets, I can't turn them down. They're just, I love being there. It's a great way to meet new customers. It's convenient for everybody. So,
and it sounds like you're pretty good. I mean, both talking to you today and watching you on Instagram and, places that you're out kind of meeting the public online, it sounds like you're pretty analytical about your business. So do you keep track of, say, what percentage of your sales comes from farmers markets versus online sales or direct sales or shows? And how do those things usually weigh out?
I do. This past year in 2023, I got really nitty gritty with that on where my income was coming from. Farmers markets still blew all the other revenue streams out of the water. But there was some that I was surprised by, like Etsy. I sell just my soap on Etsy, and that didn't do as well as I would have thought until I really crunched those numbers. So although I won't give up Etsy either, it is a great, resource to sell my soap. If it needed to take a back seat or be put on the back burner, I know that is, way down the line.
Interesting. Yeah, It's so smart. Did it take you a while to get to the point where you realized you really needed to be watching numbers in addition to making sure that your product was wonderful and your rhubarb crisp was tasty, that doing all that back end administration work would make a difference in your business?
Yes, I did struggle with numbers and being organized, and I still do. It's something that I have to constantly just keep myself motivated and just working on, because that's not the fun part for me, at least. Numbers and books and receipts, that's boring. I don't want to do that. But this past year, I did see the benefit of keeping good records. And I think that's just going to keep me motivated for 24 to keep doing my books the way I did them last year and to just watch those numbers.
Smart.
Nice. So you've been in markets for a while now. I think 10 years is a long time to be doing this business for sure. What have you learned about running a business that you wish you knew when you first started? Maybe something that you would tell someone just getting into markets now. Is there any kind of key tips that you might want to share?
Probably the first one I would tell somebody is to keep better records of your books. Even though it's still not my favorite, it is important. I also want to just encourage people to just start. When I first started, I had one table with like one of those nylon type tablecloths and just my lamb. But I started, and that got my foot in the door. It got me feeling confident, so that then little by little, and as the years went on, I've built my business. I would also encourage people to take kids. We talked about that just a minute ago. But when I first started off, I hired a babysitter because I felt like I couldn't have my kids at the market with me. And that cut into, my profits of being at the market. And I would encourage people that if it's possible and if it would work for them and their market to take their kids and not be scared that, it would look unprofessional or something, because it really, to me, has felt the opposite having my kids there, like we talked about.
Yeah, it sounds like that's really good tips and just things that people maybe starting out don't think about, that they have options when it comes to that kind of thing. If you're in a market that is open to that, trying to make that work. And then how much time are you devoting to marketing of your business? Because you do such a great job online with your online presence, but you also, sounds like you have your hands very full not just with your product producing, like on the farm and making your products for sale, but also being home with your 3 kids and homeschooling. So, but you do such a great job with marketing. So how do you kind of balance that out? And how much time do you think you're spending doing that?
I spend a couple hours a day on social media or writing my mass emails. A couple hours a day there marketing. Other than that, I don't have a budget for marketing and just devoting time to my business. I do have what I kind of consider my business hours, my set hours. There's an hour in the morning where I can devote 1 hour to work. And then in the afternoon, after I've schooled the girls, once all their schoolwork is done, we put all that away, put it aside, and it's time to pull out business for about an hour and a half to 2 hours before it's time to go to barn chores every evening at 4. I have some other just small things that I do to ensure that I'm keeping that line there between business and family. You most likely won't get a reply from me in the evening, especially if it's text or email, just because I want to put business away. I want to leave my job sometimes too. And Sunday markets, I do not like to do Sunday markets, although I am doing one right now because it's the only one in my area. But in my busy season, I will not do a Sunday market because I want to be with family, go to church with my family, have the day off, and just enjoy a Sunday.
Yeah, that's nice. It sounds like you have you're kind of balancing and putting those boundaries around your time. And that's something that we keep, talking to our market vendors about and market managers, kind of protecting your personal time too. Because if you don't, it's not going to last very long being in this business because it's just such a grind. And so you really have to think about what time do you need to set aside for yourself. So it sounds like you're doing a great job.
Well, and the whole thing that we've talked about scaling, everybody gets all excited about, how do you scale your business? That's not necessarily for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we see vendors who have scaled up and gone to huge wholesale levels and sold out part of their business to an investor or a larger company, and that's great for them. But we've also seen a lot of vendors that have stayed in markets for 10, 20 years. We've got a market in our county that's been open for 30 years, and some of those are the original vendors, and they choose to stay that size. Partly for exactly these reasons. They can support their families and things, but there's still so much more flexibility in working a market than in having a retail establishment, for instance, where you have to keep those logical retail hours because you're paying rent on that building 24/7, or going to a wholesale situation where you have investors that you have to please who might not think it's important that you take off time to homeschool your kids or to go to church. So farmers markets are just such a valuable lifestyle business in terms of letting you choose how you're going to work, when you're going to work, and still make a living. Sounds like you're doing a great job of balancing your business and your family time. The other thing I'm interested in hearing from you is you call yourself a farmers market mentor in your profile on your Instagram. What are you doing? How are you helping other farmers to succeed or other market vendors to succeed?
Yes, like I said, this is my 10th year being a farmers market vendor. And that sounds crazy to me. I can't believe it's been 10 years, but something about that 10-year mark just made me feel a little bit more confident, just a little bit more like, hey, maybe I do know what I'm doing. Maybe I've got something to share and to offer. And that kind of switched in my Instagram. And I really just felt passionate about encouraging other vendors. I'm very open in my DMs on Instagram. And I would get a lot of questions, and that just kind of got me sparked. Just, what? I want to encourage other vendors. I'm more than happy to answer questions. I want to inspire people to take what their passion is and what they're good at and to just start a business out of it if that's what they want. I offer on my website, I have a couple free printables that I have a link there too. And I am working on some paid PDFs that are not out yet, but that's something that I'm working on, and it's a goal for 24.
Oh, that's good. So like some little mini ebooks, that kind of thing that you can sell.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I think that's so smart. I love seeing people who are in the business encourage other businesses, whether you're going to retire at some point and we need someone to replace you, whether we just want to make bigger markets, whether we want to offer people a larger variety of things so that they don't have to head to the big box grocery store. I think it's wonderful when we see vendors encouraging other vendors to come along.
Yeah, I really like your printables too, Julie, on your Instagram. I just was looking at what you have available and just something as simple as like a market checklist, like things you need to bring to the market, that is so helpful to other vendors that are either just getting started or maybe they're bringing staff on for the first time. So just those little things can make such a big difference in, success and bringing stress level down for other vendors. So that's really great that you're offering that to other people. I love to see that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure and put a link to those in the show notes so that people can get familiar with Julie and what she's offering. That would be wonderful. So what's next for Stoner Family Farms and for Julie Stoner? What's coming up?
That's a good question. I did write out some 2024 goals. Of course, I want to increase my revenue. Always. That's a goal every year. I also am adding another market this year, hopefully. I haven't gotten my acceptance yet, but I'm riding high on that one. And I have a big goal this year of, I don't know that we would call it continuing education, but attending the Intense conference online. I have never attended, and I can't make it in person this year, but one day I will. But that was a goal of mine that I set in December. I'm like, I'm doing it online. I got to invest in this. I know from the podcast, like I said, that I've learned so much, so I can only imagine what the conference is like.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad that you're going to be with us online. We're, when we first started out, the conference was very much farmers and food makers and managers. And over the years, this particular conference has kind of shaken out to mostly managers, and we do mostly things on operations, business operations. We do some marketing things, so that appeals to everybody. A dream of mine, a goal, probably not for 2024, but maybe for 25 or 26, is to get back to a really integrated conference where we do offer more for food makers in particular, who I don't think are served really by anybody in that kind of space. There's a lot of small farm conferences that teach farmers how to farm. We always say, we'll let the Small Farm Conference teach you how to farm. Here at Tent Talk and at Farmers Market Pros, we want to teach you how to sell once you've harvested. We still do a lot of that on the podcast. We do some of it with Vendor 101, that kind of thing. But we would really, at some point, like to see the conference get a little bigger and more inclusive and have some tracks for farmers and food makers, and then some times when everybody gets together. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think it's just so beneficial, though. We have farmers and vendors that attend the conference either in person or online, and it's just so helpful for them to see like the market management side of it, because that's such a big part of your business too as a participant in a farmer's market. If you don't understand that side of it, it just makes for, sometimes a contentious relationship with farmers market operators, or just it'll just kind of help boost that success if you understand like all parts of how a farmer's market works. So it's just really great to see when farmers and vendors attend the conference as well. So we'll be looking for you online. Very exciting.
# farmers markets don't just happen.
That's right. It takes all of us. We can't do it independently. So yeah,
that's right.
It's a whole team.
Anything else we should have asked you, Julie, before we wrap up? What didn't we ask you that you want to share?
I cannot think of anything. The outline was fantastic. Thank you, ladies.
Excellent. We like to kind of study up on our guests. We're careful who we invite. We want to make sure somebody's got something to contribute. And I think you're doing wonderful things. Just, what we've picked up online from you. And true pleasure having you here today in the studio. Online
virtually in the studio. Yes.
Yes, it was great talking to you. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening today, and big thanks to Grapevine Local Marketing for supporting small farmers, markets, and Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. Grapevine understands farming and marketing, so they know what you need to be successful. Click the Grapevine Local Food Marketing logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com to get started today. Ready to explore even more ways to make your markets less stressful and more profitable? While you're on our website, click Register on the homepage and save your seat today for Intense, the National Farmers Market Conference, and join us in San Diego or live online from the comfort of your home, March 4th, 5th, and 6th, 2024.
Thanks for listening to Tent Talk today. Please leave us a review on your podcast app or wherever you listen to Tent Talk. Let us and others know how you're enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Tent Talk. Connect with fellow farmers market folks in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros community. Follow us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros, and find online education and other resources on our website at farmersmarketpros.com. Tent Talk is brought to you by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Tent Talk is produced by Leandra Hayes, with original music by David Mead. Tune in next week for another great episode.